Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another sweltering hot day at Rail Live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Daisy Chapman-Chamberlain, Innovation Manager at East West Rail, which is a railway project connecting communities between Oxford and Cambridge. And we're starting today with my very favourite topic in the entire world, innovation. And I would like to hand over to the fabulous and my very best friend, Innovation Director, Milda Manomaityte. Have I said it right for once? Amazing. Innovation Director at Railway Industry Association.
Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you very much, and good morning. Good to see you. Some actually people made it to the first speech, so really appreciate that. I was kind of expecting to see maybe one or two people from RIA listening I speak. I had some jokes prepared about kind of being a warm-up act for the minister, but I think there is a 15-minute gap, so I don't think they will work. I was kind of sort of saying, you know, you're here to listen, probably came to see the minister, so I'm your Coldplay to Beyonce, but so you got me for another half an hour. Just before I start, I don't like to kind of talk with assumptions. How many of you know what Railway Industry Association is and what we do? Can I have a show of hands? Okay, great. So we've got one or two people in the audience that don't know, so I'll give a very brief background. We are a trade body for UK railway suppliers. A lot of the companies that you see here are our members. We represent their interests to the people in power, to the railway clients. We don't have train operating companies or railway clients in our membership, so we're purely representing the supply chain interest. We create opportunities for people to network, understand what's going on in the industry, and basically just help navigate the landscape. We have over 350 member companies in the membership, and we like to say that if you do want to build a railway from scratch, you can find the planners, the designers, the maintainers, the builders, and engineers in our membership. Within RIA, I look after the Unlocking Innovation program, supported by Network Rail R&D Portfolio and UK Rail Research and Innovation Network. And I believe that actually I have the best job at RIA, because my job is to go out there and see what innovations are happening in the industry, what our members are working on, what our clients need from the supply chain to improve the network, to improve the operations. So it's really great for me to just be out and about and learn about all these cool things that are happening in the industry. And the Unlocking Innovation program, for those who are entering the industry, helps to navigate the landscape, to understand the structure, because let's face it, it's complicated, to understand what the challenges are, so we don't just come up with solutions to the problems that nobody has, and seek for opportunities to grow your business. And for those already working in the industry, the program allows networking opportunities with new and existing clients. Again, understand the landscape, who is funding what kind of accelerators are in place, and just build your own supply chain if you're a bigger company, and if you're a smaller company, find opportunities to grow your business. So later in my presentation, I give a bit of an update, and for those of you who have heard me speak before, a few times I heard today, it's like, am I going to hear something new? Yes, I will have 2 new things to tell you at the end of my presentation, so please stay. That's your bonus. And before I go there, I wanted to talk to you about how our members are experiencing innovation today. And we need to innovate today more than ever. The planet is fighting climate change. I mean, we're all boiling here today. The humans are fighting the cost of living crisis. And the governments are under pressure to deliver value for money. And the railway system is feeling all of this. The good news is, I forgot I actually have slides. So this is the Unlocking Innovation program. Daisy, I've added your picture there because I love you. And the good news is that innovation is already happening in the industry. New materials have been developed to build platforms, track infrastructure, rolling stock, and interiors. And you can see some of the examples here in the pictures. New fuels and energy sources are being developed to support sustainable traction power. Innovative solutions are being developed to clean leaves from tracks, ranging from equipping passenger trains with water sprays to laser technology. So actually using trains in the passenger service to do maintenance work on the network. Automated track inspection, maintenance, and repair robots, as well as train cleaning and servicing robots, are being tested by researchers and engineers. And I know there is the RoboDog here somewhere, because I've seen your Instagram or Twitter yesterday. Smart sensors, cameras, and other devices are constantly recording the status of track infrastructure and rolling stock. Virtual and augmented reality solutions are being used for staff training and improving customer journeys. Artificial intelligence and machine learning tools are churning out vast amounts of data to come up with new solutions that we didn't really think about just yesterday, and it will transform the railway industry. And digital twins are being used to optimize railway, both for improving performance and for planning future investments. It all might sound a bit science fiction-y, but I bet that you can see a lot of these innovations just walking in this exhibition today. However, our process, culture, and ways of working are not keeping up with the pace of technological innovation. And if you are wondering where I got this picture from, I didn't draw it, the AI did. So I will be showing a series of AI pictures in my presentations because I needed to fill something and I didn't have examples from real life. So there's another, if we have time, Daisy, you said what question to ask? You can ask about me. You can ask me about prompt engineering, because trust me, I've tried a lot of times to give something to the AI to give me an image that I wanted, to just find something that is completely different. Example follows. So I've given this description that I will just tell you to AI, and it came up with the solution. So let's imagine a track inspection and repairs robot, which has a 3D printer in its toolkit. So instead of making several journeys to inspect the track, find and identify the fault, and then come back with the right tools and materials to fix it, you can do that in one journey with the railway robot. The machine would travel along the track, find the fault, identify the tools and components needed to fix it, and get ready to work. It would print out a component and applies the fix. Now, you can see where I'm going with this, right? Just imagine the kind of process, regulation, product approval that needs to be applied for this scenario to happen. Starting from ensuring that the materials used in the printed components meet the necessary safety and quality requirements, to the right software, workforce training and qualifications, and integrating automation in the existing processes and standards. This robot might be a few years away, but introducing any kind of innovation to the railway sector is difficult. And I'm sure you have experienced that, and I'm not saying anything new. We've all heard the stories, from understanding the industry needs, finding a sponsor, to accessing funding and testing facilities, and shout out to GCRE right there, going through product acceptance processes, and of course, finding the best procurement solution. Last year, the Office of Rail and Road published a review of how Network Rail is developing and adopting technology. It's a really good review, very interesting read. The review found that whilst individual teams were making decisions that are reasonable in isolation, they often conflict with other teams' decisions. Individual teams do not recognize that low-level adoption within impacts the whole system, pushing away the supply chain, making harder for ORR and funders to justify investment in innovation, and reinforcing the perception that the railway industry is not innovative. And this is not just Network Rail or even the railway industry problem. Large organizations are fragmented, working in silos, and prioritize day-to-day operations. We've all got day jobs to do. Improving innovation culture is hard work. At RIA, we do this every day. We do a lot of work to work, within our team, we work on clarity, alignment, and behavior constantly, again and again and again. Working on culture is like brushing teeth. It's boring, but it's necessary, and you have to do it all the time. It's not a one-initiative approach. In our railway innovation strategy that we published last year, and I'm not going to read these through, feel free, and you can find this on our website in the publication section. We talk about supporting skills development and the the creation of an innovation culture. In our view, innovation should be included in day-to-day objectives at all levels of seniority. So I'm a bit of a conundrum myself there, and probably you, Daisy, too. There shouldn't be an innovation director or innovation manager. Innovation should be in all of our daily jobs to do it. So you can have a quick read while I have a sip of water. Similarly, earlier this year, we published Data and Digital Technologies in Rail paper, highlighting that at the heart of every process, digital or otherwise, are people. Teams need to have enough time in their day-to-day activities to think about and adopt innovation, to convert data into intelligence and be empowered to act it. I think we all can say it, and we have the same problem with RIA. We get a lot of data every day from everything we do, from every interaction with the customers, from every click on the website, from every churn of the motor, we get the data. But how we use that data is difficult because we are moving on to the next thing. We never have the time to just really think about what can we do with it. And many times we have seen client organizations issuing challenge statements or inviting private sector to come up with solutions, only for the innovations to hit a brick wall at the adoption stage. Because there are no teams or individuals who are empowered to make changes and have budgets associated for rollout of successfully demonstrated innovations. So last week, the Minister for Rail and HS2 has announced this year's first-of-a-kind competition, and you probably will hear from him directly later on. The competition briefing event included presentations from many challenge owners, East West Rail, HS2, Network Rail, the train operating companies innovation community, and the Great British Railways transition team. Each speaker talked about their specific needs for innovation and the process of obtaining a letter of support for these competitions. Each speaker highlighted the importance of bringing these innovations to business as usual operations. This is a good start, because there was a report published by Department for Transport that evaluated the first 3 rounds of first-of-a-kind competitions. And the report was published last year. It found that additional time and funding is still required to deliver a product to market. Procurement is often mentioned as a major challenge by both the railway clients and suppliers. It is especially difficult to align the first-of-a-kind implementation and the essential next step of product scale-up with a competitive public procurement process. As a minimum, procurement needs to be considered at the very beginning of any innovation process. To support our members, we are doing some initiatives to help to navigate these innovation waters. We might do something around procurement, but it is a very complicated topic, we understand that. But to start with, we will be working with Network Rail product acceptance team to help inform suppliers about the process, help answer some frequently asked questions, and in turn, share the challenges our members face. So hopefully, when you will be going through the product acceptance process, you could come to us and we can help you with just the basic questions and then pass you on to the relevant people in Network Rail team. And also, if you're experiencing any problems, same, we can pass that on. And today, so these are the 2 new bits that I'm explaining, so we're nearly at the end. Today we're launching our phase 2 of Innovation Navigator. And that's why I kept using the navigation word, so you can build up for this moment. As part of our Unlocking Innovation program, we are building a hub for suppliers to find all the relevant information and support they need in a single website. Here. This is a dynamic project that will evolve over time. So this is not the final product you see. Phase 1 was launched last year and includes a self-assessment tool to help companies understand where they are in the innovation journey compared to where they want to be in that journey, and also find any additional resources you need if you identify some gaps, whether you don't know, whether it's the industry knowledge, challenge knowledge, or sort of process knowledge. Phase 2 is an interactive innovation landscape dashboard, and you can access that through this QR code. And I will also share the link through our mailing lists next week. So if you're not subscribed to our innovation community mailing list, go to the website, create a quick profile, subscribe to the innovation list as community. It's open for everyone, not just RIA members. So the idea is that this dashboard help you understand where to find industry challenges, who is funding innovation, where to test your product, and much more. So if you're sort of just starting and go, okay, where do I start? Who needs my product? What are the problems? Where can I get funding? Are there any accelerator programs going on? The theory is that you'll find it there. And again, I want to stress that this is, we will be, because the industry is moving, it's like language, it's like the supply chain. You can't just map it and leave it. We will be updating it constantly. And the phase 3 of the Navigator will build on the first 2 phases to guide you through building your own innovation strategy from conception to deployment. This section will help you highlight the key factors you need to think about and make your innovation a success. And I already have some more ideas how we can do it. And if you have something you would like to share or us to include, please come and speak to me. I would absolutely love you to hear. And this is my final page of my speech. Right. And yesterday, we have launched our 3rd Innovation Perception Survey. So the aim of the survey is to see how the railway sector perceives itself in regards of innovation. So a lot of the time, I'd be hearing, oh, it's a Victorian infrastructure crumbling to bits, it's all so out of date. But it is a perception problem because there is so much innovation going on in our industry. So it's really to understand where we need to be, where you think we are in the journey, where do you think the railway needs to be in the journey, and what are the key challenges for us to get there. So for a lot of you would have received an email yesterday, and I know there is quite a few people already filled the survey, and the results are coming in, which are slightly different from the previous year, so that's really interesting. But also you can just scan the QR code and fill the survey today when you're just having a lunch or something like that. It really helps us to understand which challenges are at the top of your list, which initiatives need to be, sort of has the most impact to your journey, and also we're asking questions, what do we need to do to help you? So it's really, really useful for us to have that insight. Right, and finally, following the Data and Digital Technologies for Rail paper, which was launched this year actually, at our innovation conference, we are now working on Rail Retail Thought Leadership paper. We'll look at the history of British rail ticketing, the challenges today, the quick wins, what's going on with the national train booking platform that was announced a couple of years ago. We haven't heard anything since, so we'll have to apply some pressure around that. And also just look into the future. If we really think big, if we want to have the ideal scenario of seamless journey, planning, paying, validation, refunds, what does need to happen today to achieve that? So if you're working in that space and you would like to contribute, again, please come talk to me. And that's it from me.
Got a seat. Sit down.
Oh, no. I'm wearing a short dress.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I should have given you no advice. Do that. Yeah, the sideways sit. And it's slightly more dignified. Thank you so much, Milda. That was really interesting. Obviously, every single time I've heard you speak, it's always been fantastic. And I'm going to kick off by disagreeing with you.
Oh, amazing.
We love that.
Love a good argument.
We love a good argument, and we're very good at doing that. Not having an innovation manager and an innovation lead within an organisation, I'd love you to expand on that a bit, because from my perspective, I take your point. The aim is for this to become business as usual. It's the same as saying, ideally in future, we wouldn't have a diversity and inclusion manager, because diversity and inclusion would be just done across the business. We would all be engaged with it. But there are a lot of functions, I think, where we could say, this should be BAU. We should just all be doing this. from my perspective, the function of the innovation manager or the innovation team or the innovation role, and I'm not just trying to make sure I have a job, by the way, in future, but the function of that is to make sure that you've got that coherence and that drive across the business. But I'd love to get your perspective.
So what we've seen a lot of the times, and actually, we've over the past couple of years, we've really developed this network of innovation managers within the railway industry. We all kind of know each other. We go and grab coffee once in a while. Is that it's very easy then for the wider organization to just sort of say, oh, that's just innovation, team job. It's just them. Let's just them deal with this. And then when the innovation team does deal with it, the struggle is to bring everybody in with that journey, because then you come in and say, hey, rest of the team, we just had a little think-a-thon and we've come up with a solution. There you go implement. And the people who are doing their day-to-day jobs, they're going like, can you not? I'm so busy. Do you not see my to-do list? Bugger off. So it's very easy then to just make the innovation sort of someone else's job.
Yeah.
Rather than a whole organization
Easy to
goal.
put it into a silo.
Yeah.
So it's about that. It is about that whole organisation coherence and collaboration, isn't it? So yeah, point taken. We don't have to have an argument on that one.
I might be, too harsh because I also like to be the innovation director. I would like to keep that job. Thank you.
Fair enough. Let's not talk ourselves out of work. I'm going to open up to the audience in a minute. So if you do have a question for Milda, get ready. But I'd love to know, what do you think the number one risk to innovation in rail is at the moment? Is it the funding? Is it the difficulties presented by standards and procedures? Is there something else that is actually, at the moment, poses a big risk? Or is it a kind of combination of all of them?
So if I go back to the perception survey, and I'm just not talking my opinions then, I can actually data to back up. And by the way, you can find the report of the perception survey on our website as well. Procurement is an issue, especially when you create something that is not in the market yet. So if you're an organization that needs to introduce a new product or a process to your business, and you can go to a competitive procurement processes and you can just sort of buy from somewhere else that's already exists, you can have that process. But especially if you're working with a supplier, and this is real life scenarios, you're working with a supplier saying, hey, I have this problem, can we develop a solution together? You develop a solution together, the suppliers developed it, and then you go, well, thanks for that, but now I have to go to market with this, so now we have to go there. And a lot of the time, that's where it stops. It's a very complicated issue, and my colleague, technical director David Clark, is really exploring that, so we might have some sort of thought leadership around it later on as well. Brilliant. But it is an issue.
It is a real challenge, and it's one of the things as well that we see after the first of a kind competition. You get that funding, you do the demonstrator, the innovation's fantastic, everyone in all the organisations involved thinks it is, but then you come up against that barrier, and there has to be a way that we can work through that while still obviously being fair to everyone else who is in the supply chain. So I'd love to open up to the audience. Does anyone have a question to ask Milda?
Oh, lovely. That's a lot better. I don't have to shout. Okay, Ken Foster from East West Rail, Head of Infrastructure there. The rail industry, in terms of innovation, I think, is in probably a better state than I've ever known it in my long career on the railway. There is so much innovation out there, but from a project and a delivery point of view, that in itself creates a problem, because there is just so much innovation out there. It's quite easy to get overwhelmed. Now we have Daisy and we have Will and we have people that help us in filtering that. But even then, it's actually quite overwhelming at times. There is so much out there. Is that a role for RIA and the supply chain representatives to actually organise that a little better so it comes in eatable chunks? We can eat the elephant one mouthful at a time, so to speak.
Well, as a supply chain representative, I would like to say yes, and I agree. Yes, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of innovations, and it's actually a good problem to have, because there's you don't just go like, oh my God, we don't have anything. There's so much, it can become a distraction, but we can embrace that soup of innovation. Yes, and so the Innovation Navigator would potentially be a place where we will, and I've heard sort of ideas of, hey, maybe we can do some supply chain mapping, you know, innovation challenges mapping, where you can, or a database of innovations where you register and log. This is a bureaucratic process, and I'm personally quite reluctant with the whole mapping idea, because again, it's an evolving organism. So as soon as you write something down, and you know it gets out of date tomorrow, but absolutely, RIA can be helpful or a tool to just navigate that landscape. And if you're a client thinking, oh my God, I need safe innovations and safety to protect my staff, because I know that you need that. We have that knowledge, whether it would be sort of a knowledge that we have within our, just from talking to people, or actually from our database, or actually could go out to the supply chain and say, can you go and with some solutions? But for that also, the challenges need to be clear. So I remember was it last year at the First of a Kind competition, when we had the train operating companies panel, where they said we want suppliers to understand our challenges, and we then said, okay, but where are they? So I think now they are publishing and they're sharing the challenges.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, that's one of the most useful functions that RIA fulfills, is actually when I'm looking for something in the supply chain, I go to Milda and I pick up the phone and I say, Milda, can you help me find solutions?
We are the best.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't say that. But anything else? You can. Anything else for Milda from the audience? Just at the front.
Just here.
The gentleman at the front.
Ian Prosser, His Majesty's Chief Inspector of Railways. Now, sometimes the word standards is used to be sort of people sometimes think it gets in the way. What's your view on that?
It's a double-edged sort of situation. Standards potentially can get out of date, or the lack of standards could be a hindrance as well. For the rail retail paper, for example, we've been talking with companies who provide systems for payments and ticketing and gate solutions, and the situation that is happening now, that a lot of the people are developing their own sort of systems for contactless payment. So we have this Euro card, Visa, is it EMT, Eurocard Europay MasterCard Visa payment standard, but the encryption and decryption systems at the gate are different with each supplier or a community. So a standard for that is needed to make sure it unlocks the sort of integration. And so yeah, it can be, it's a sort of needs to be, again, a dynamic process, constantly monitored. Some standards need updating, some standards need introducing, and probably updating as the system evolves.
I would agree with that. I think it's about flexibility, but still obviously maintaining the level of standards that we have to make sure that we continue to have an incredibly safe railway, because obviously that's the main function behind them. We probably have time for one more question, and I'm going to steal it, because that's my prerogative as the chair.
Okay.
What would your number one takeaway be for the audience? For everyone here, you've got a mix of SMEs, you've got a mix of people who are actually on the more purchasing side and network rail and everything else. What would your number one takeaway for them to be to enable innovation within their business?
This is something I say all the time to everyone who I meet, doesn't matter which situation they're in, is personal contacts and relationships. It's the absolutely single most important thing you can do to enable your anything. It's developing the personal connections, because somebody will know somebody who knows somebody who can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very personal relationship industry, isn't it?
It is,
really,
yeah.
Rail. It really is. Well, Milda, thank you so much. That was really fascinating. Do stick around next. We have the Rail Minister on stage, and I'm sure everyone has plenty of needling questions to ask him. But for now, let's give Milda another round of applause.